The Big Debate at bbc.co.uk. Well, this week's Unsung Hero is an actor, Arun Kapur. He works at an independent cinema as a freelance actor, has a self-published poetry book, and he's also using YouTube to deliver a powerful message about mental health, specifically for boys in the South Asian community. Arun, thank you for being our Unsung Hero this week.
Hi there, Nahal. No problem. And since it's National Act of Kindness Day, being an Arsenal fan myself, I'm specifically not going to watch any Arsenal clips.
Are you seriously an Arsenal fan?
I am seriously an Arsenal fan. And another fact, I actually work for the football club as well, and I'm going to be there on Sunday when we play Man City.
How do you feel about that?
I'm not going to comment just yet.
Okay. Well, you'll be happy to know that Mesut Ozil is available to play against Man City.
That's one good act of kindness I'm receiving today.
There you go. And Sanchez says he wants to play for a team in London. So that it might be you guys next season.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed indeed. But we're not here to talk about football, but what a brilliant coincidence of all the teams that you could have supported had to beat Arsenal today.
Exactly.
But let's talk about, I think Bill Mostyn, my boss here, he probably sorted this out. Anyway, tell me, what made you want to tackle this issue specifically?
In terms of the issue with the whole mental health awareness and raising of it, is that I still think it's still a taboo topic, especially in the South Asian community and especially with the younger generation. Now, a lot of people might suggest that, okay, we're growing up in a new generation, a new era, that there's more accessibility in terms of being able to be vocal about such taboo topics. But to me, they're still taboo.
I think you're right. I think a lot of... But then it's not just the culture, it's men, regardless of whatever culture they're from, Arun, have a problem, don't we, talking about our emotions.
I believe it's more of a masculinity issue, especially obviously men overall. It's difficult, but especially within South Asian community, with the older generations, they were taught and grown up that you shouldn't be able to speak about emotion, speak about how you feel. You just got on with what you had to do. You didn't really deal with whatever were you feeling inside. You just did your responsibilities and your jobs.
So tell me how you're using YouTube.
Well, I got inspired by a very special friend one time, and she kind of gave me the push to just go forward and just say how you feel. So I went on YouTube and I decided to try to put together this little creative video. Rather than speak just literally vocal about, say how you feel, I put this little creative video together in which I just kind of sat at my worst possible time, put a voiceover so that I felt that people could relate to from all sorts of... all types of different backgrounds, whether you're young, whether you're old, it doesn't matter.
And how have they gone down? What kind of feedback have you had, Arun?
Well, I've showed them to a lot of my local customers, a lot of friends, family, independent projects I'm working with, and a lot of people that I've showed them my poetry book as well, which I'm still getting out there. A lot of people said that these are topics that strike them, even they're confused by it. And what I mean by that is that they didn't even know that a lot of people were going through such things because everybody's working every day, full responsibilities. We all live roller coaster lifestyles that when we actually sit down and take time to think, we don't really pay attention to what someone else might be going through or what they're going through themselves. So they're left confused by all these things.
And tell me, is this something that you yourself have gone through?
I could personally say that there are a lot of things, but pretty much this, that I have gone through myself as I've been growing up. And as I've grown up and experienced all these difficulties, I've taken more time out to learn about myself and what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And at the same time as learning about myself, I want to be able to try and inspire others that they can do the same as well. Because it's not easy. It's definitely difficult. But it's not. I think it's a thing that people are too afraid to actually tackle.
It's really good that you're doing this, Arun. Tell me, where does this need to help people come from?
I think it's just second nature to me. I've always grown up and been taught by my parents that always, as well as putting yourself first, put others next to you first as well in the given situations where it's suitable. You're allowed to be selfish for yourself, but you also need to be selfless as well. And you work as a freelance actor as well. How does that help? Well, that's given me the encouragement to... I've grown up not always confident. I was quite shy, actually, growing up. at a certain stage in my life. And I actually got my first job in production working in front of the camera. So I was doing the runner's job, and we all know what that's like. A couple of other assistant directors, art department positions. And then I was always quite loud and chatty as I was doing production. That's when I noticed I was more vocal. And I got asked by an agency if I wanted to be in front of the camera. And so because with that job, I'm always travelling to, say, either Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, London, Wales, wherever. It gave me the opportunity to also grow as a human being because I'm looking out for myself, my own responsibilities. I'm not having to rely on anyone.
It's been... I mean, how old are you now?
27.
27. So you're still in your 20s and you're doing this. And it's not just something that affects young people either, is it?
I talk to, because I meet a lot of people on these shoots, etc. I meet people that are twice the age as I am, and they said to me that I'm inspiring them and I'm giving them the wise head that they need to hear, that even at the age that they're at, they've never even heard.
Right. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant what you're doing. And people are talking more and more about mental health, though, aren't they, Arun? It is something that we've seen in the last year or two where people have said, well, actually, now I understand that mental health should be treated as seriously as physical health.
I think I would agree with you on that in the past year or two, a couple of years, that it is seen more as a serious topic, whereas maybe before that, it wasn't seen serious as much, and a lot of people see it as a joke. And in fact, I'm going to argue with that. In the past 2 years, it's been brought up much more. I still talk to people and they still see it as a joke and they will disregard it, or they'll try and understand it. But because when people are confused, they tend to try to understand something, but they still brush it off. And in their own mind, they still see it as that's their answer. That's the answer to it. But they don't want to look further than that. It's almost just like a comfortability, right? That's it. Let's sweep it under the rug. I've answered it. Let's move on to the next thing.
And that is terrible, isn't it? Because you always hear as well people saying, well, what does so-and-so need to be depressed about? They've got a good life.
I tell you what, I've heard that pretty much every day or every other day. And I hear the same thing. Why do you need to be depressed about this? Why is this person quiet? Why are you not like this? Why are you not like that? Why do you do this, etc.? I always find that a lot of people have to be a certain way and do certain things for their own well-being, but other people may not understand that because they do certain things for themselves, for their own well-being, that maybe we won't understand. But the point I'm trying to make is that as human beings, we're all different. No one's the same, but we have to try and understand one another to get along.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And people are, I think, learning more and more about it. Arun, very quickly, where can people find out where your YouTube page is?
Okay, if you go on YouTube and if you type my name in, Arun Kapur, so it's ARUNKPUR, you'll find a model picture of me on YouTube, and that's definitely me, and you'll find a couple of my videos. So one of the ones, a couple of them are a bit funny that I did when I first started off, but I noticed that being funny didn't find any meaning for myself personally. Like a lot of YouTubers, they do comedy sketches, etc., and it tends to get more publicity, but I find that that's an easy way out to get attention, whereas when you're trying to cover something that's actually serious everyday situations, I notice people don't really want to hear it, and that goes back to the point about me saying that I think people are too afraid to talk about these topics.
Well, Arun, thank you. We're not, and you're not either, and it's great to have you as our unsung hero this week. Thank you very much, Arun Kapur.